I love playing beta tests for games. It gives me a glimpse into whether or not a game is going to ultimately be worth my time. I get a bit of an idea of whether or not a game is going to succeed. I can give direct feedback and attempt to steer a game in the right direction, or a direction that I think is going to largely benefit it overall. I got to play the new Hunter Outlanders game, and honestly, it feels very much so like a Monster Hunter game kind of meshed with an open world RPG, which honestly sounds like a lot of fun, and it ultimately ended up being a lot of fun. Now, there are some caveats here where I think they need to improve, but overall, I've had a lot of fun playing it over the last several days in the most recent beta test. What I'm going to do here is kind of break down bit by bit what I thought. I've spent several hours in it, about like 8-9 hours total. I didn't want to invest too much time because when the game releases, I want to actually play it, and replaying content through multiple test phases and then a full release is just time consuming, and then becomes an arduous, tedious process. Now, before we jump in, while this video is not sponsored, I do want to point out Mrs. Stinks and I are going to be going to their live event in Cologne, Germany, because we're going to Gamescom. We're being sponsored by multiple different companies to go to Gamescom, and we see that they are holding an event there, a dinner in specific, Monster Hunter themed dinner. So we're attending. If you're attending, we'd love to see you there. Stop by, say hey. I think this is going to be a really sick opportunity. And if you haven't already, and after watching this video, you feel the need to, go ahead, pre-register. I do not have a link for you because, again, this video isn't sponsored, so you got to find your way there on your own. To start things off, this is set in a completely original continent. It does very much so have the classic Monster Hunter loop intact. There are essentially towns where you accept quests. You then move out into the world to hunt various different monsters, acquire various different material types, carve materials, craft better gear, take on harder hunts, stronger bosses. It is very much so, at its core, a Monster Hunter game. So if you love Monster Hunter games, this is going to be right up your alley. But if you're deterred by certain elements that are present in the Monster Hunter titles, like the repetitious gameplay loop, then this is going to be something that you pretty much want to ignore. A very big key differentiator, though, I think, between the mainline Monster Hunter games and then Outlanders is that this has a lot larger world. The exploration is, I think, a much more focal part of the game. You have the ability to climb walls, you have the ability to slingshot yourself up and around. There are zip lines, there are actual environmental interactions, which makes engaging with the world so much more fulfilling and rewarding. There are treasure chests to find, there are herbs and minerals to loot, there are monsters to fight, just random, normal, average monsters out in the world. You'll encounter big, large, powerful, elite monsters out in the world too, all of which you can engage in combat with, all of which you can harvest and carve to obtain the materials you need to craft the better gear, the better weapons. Admittedly, one thing I did notice was that the hunts are definitely shorter than the console variants. There's also a sort of factory building system in place where you go out, you effectively save camps, and then you just rebuild them from the ground up. These are useful for gathering, they're useful for progression, and not only can you engage them solo, you can also go with AI adventurers, party members, and also 4-player co-op. There are multiple weapon types available in the beta test, things like the sword, the dual blades. I actually opted for the dual blades. I really wanted to go great sword, but I felt like it was probably going to be too slow. I was also curious of going like the bow or the heavy bowgun. All of the classes keep their individual identities. They all feel different. They all play very differently. Dual blades still engage in like whirlwind chaos. There are 2 different control modes. There's a classic mode that's, I think, closer to the console version of the game, and then a simplified adventure mode with more auto assist for people that are playing this on mobile platforms. Because, and I forgot to mention this earlier, but this game is mobile oriented. I don't know if they plan on releasing a PC version or a console version in the future, but this game specifically is playable on mobile, and it honestly doesn't feel like it. While I did play on my phone right here, I ultimately the game just, it feels really good for the platform it plays on. Surprisingly, the telegraphed abilities are very clear. You have a team of up to 4 different characters. They're customizable. You're customizable. You can level them. You can gear them just like yourself. There are various different class archetypes like the Assault, which is essentially a DPS, the Disruptor, support. The combat felt very fluid, a lot more fluid than I actually thought it was going to. You all know me. When I play a mobile game, especially an action game on mobile, I've been very adamant about how poorly they feel because I'm of the opinion, and I'll state this time and time again, that action games should be played with a mouse and keyboard or a controller. Using your tiny little thumbs is incredibly difficult and increasingly difficult the more the bosses scale in terms of difficulty. The controls do admittedly take a little getting used to, but things feel very reactive and honestly, we're very fluid. The world is divided into various different regions with numerous different climates and individual ecosystems. You explore the world, you open treasure chests, you gather, you build facilities, you uncover the story. It mixes traditional crafting with character leveling, with gear upgrades. There are radiant monsters, classic monsters. There is a functional gacha system present. You pull for adventurers and buddies. There are tons of different characters. They all have their class archetypes as well. They all have their own unique look, their own unique play style. Some of them are very cool, very fun to actually play with. I know some people are deterred from gacha, but at the same time, you acquire so many different characters just by playing the game. You acquire so many different resources just by playing the game. And there's no real fear of missing out because all content can be cleared with literally the base cast of characters. You don't need strong characters. You don't need to upgrade if you don't want to. The gacha is there to provide you more. They are an additive. They are an expansion. They're not a replacement. They're not a requirement. They're not going to gate or wall off content behind having, the most broken OP characters in a game. These are here to provide you with cooler looking characters with more fun combat styles. At the end of the day, you're just essentially pulling with the gacha system to enjoy a style of play that is different to the style of play that you have, or to have a character that looks different than the characters that you already have. The combat felt essentially like Monster Hunter on a phone. It had a beautiful presentation. It had phenomenal monster design. It had a flexible party system. You could, again, create a party of up to 4 different people. It had a functional co-op system. The exploration and the building give it, I think, its own identity beyond just pure being in a hub and then going on a hunt, killing some monsters, coming back, craft gear, craft weapons ad nauseum. It has shorter gameplay sessions while still maintaining a semblance of depth. The mobile controls, again, did take a lot of getting used to. After like 5-6 hours, I was still having an issue just dodging accurately, and sometimes I'd move too far out of the monster's range. At like hour 8 or 9, I started getting a better grasp of it. But I think at the end of the day, if you have a controller or you have a mouse and keyboard, then it's always going to be better. It's always going to feel better than playing it with your thumbs. Well, I think they did a great job. I do think that just playing with your thumbs is going to be vastly inferior 100 out of 100 times. I play a lot of gacha games now, so honestly, the gacha doesn't really affect me, doesn't really bother me. Gacha has hundreds of millions of players all around the world now. This is an easy way for companies to monetize video games. I think that Monster Hunter Outlanders is ultimately a convincing attempt at bringing a real Monster Hunter game, the combat and the full hunting loop to mobile. It's not a one-to-one replacement for any existing Monster Hunter game, and the gacha is still very much so gacha, for better or for worse, but the foundation, I think, is very strong. The developers seem to be iterating through each various different beta test. If they keep the combat feeling this good and they don't go, super aggressive and hyper aggressive on the monetization when the game launches, I think this could be one of the better mobile action experiences in a long while. I am going to be keeping my eye on it. I'm going to be playing the next beta test if they release a beta test. Once again, I'm also going to be at their live event in Cologne, Germany, that's taking place separately to Gamescom. I don't know if you guys are going, but if you are, it'd be awesome to see you there. This game, though, I think it's best for Monster Hunter fans who want something on the go. Mobile action RPG players who like team building, and people who just enjoy that hunt loop without having to worry about spending 20, 30 minutes or an hour doing so. I know you think that you just hit the end of the video, and technically, yeah, you have. And I know your first reaction is to close out of it at this juncture, but don't. No. Instead, I urge you to take a moment here and click one of the videos on screen that are coming up in just a moment so you remain up to date with everything going on in the gacha genre. Trust me, you're not going to regret doing so. Stay flaccid.